Hi, I'm John Pollock, and this is Fight News Now. Welcome to another edition of Fight News Now. I'm your host, John Pollock. We have a packed show, as always, featuring a look ahead to UFC 170 this weekend. Along with that, exclusive comments from Alexis Davis and Georges St-Pierre, who sat down with me this week. We'll also welcome in John Ramdine and Robin Black for 3 rounds. The shift features more comic chat with Rashad Evans, as well as a look at the DNA of GSP. Up first are this week's newsmakers, and that's where we begin. Former welterweight champion Georges St-Pierre has kept a low profile since his announcement last December to step away from the sport. I had a chance to speak with him in Toronto this week regarding his new documentary, Takedown, the DNA of GSP, and we discussed where his head is at regarding a return to the cage in the future.
For me, right now, I'm not ready to go back in there as a competitor. I don't know if I'm gonna come back one day. I want some stuff to change in the sport, and as long as it's not gonna change, I'm not gonna come back. But right now, I'm just trying to enjoy my life. I had my first Christmas and New Year's with my family, and it was something I haven't had for a long time. I mean, having a real Christmas, a real New Year's, not a few minutes of 1 hour with them, and then I have to go for training. I know people say, "Oh, you could have done it before." No, I couldn't, because in my mind, I was so obsessive about my job. I needed to train. I don't care if it was Christmas, New Year's, the birthday of your mom, this and that. I had to, every day of my life takes a time for me to dedicate to get the best martial artist I could be. And it was driving me crazy, you know. Now, even now, people can see me, like I gain muscle mass, even though I don't train as much, I train every day. I'm more happy, I gain weight, muscle mass, a good healthy weight. And even in my face, you see it, I'm more happy.
No, it's very evident.
I'm more happy, I have a smile, I found joy in my life again. And I don't regret it. I'm very happy. If I ever come back, I'm gonna come back because it's gonna make me happy, and I'm gonna want it to. I don't need the money anymore. I have it for the rest of my life if I want. But the thing is, if I come back, it's not for a money reason. Hopefully, I'm not gonna do anything crazy. But no. But I mean, it's not gonna be for a money reason. It's not gonna be for another reason than for the love of the sport, the love of competition. You know, it might come back. You know, I believe it will. But right now, I need to step off and not thinking about my comeback. Just let the guys fight. I don't have the title. Have fight between each other. Have fun competing. And if I want to come back one day, I'm gonna find a way to get back to the top.
This Saturday, UFC 170 will take place in Las Vegas as bantamweight champion Ronda Rousey returns just 8 weeks since her last title defense as the 2008 judo bronze medalist meets undefeated 2004 freestyle wrestling silver medalist Sarah McMann. It's a very tough case to make for McMann against a top female fighter in the world, but one thing is for sure, one of these women will taste defeat for the first time.
On Saturday night, the UFC will see 2 Olympic athletes compete for the first time as judo bronze medalist Ronda Rousey takes on freestyle wrestling silver medalist Sarah McMann.
Bringing the whole relation to the Olympics into it kind of softens up the look of MMA a little bit more, and people are going to look at us more as athletes, not just fighters.
I mean, people I think are starting to get an idea of how much we dedicate our lives to this.
After dispatching Miesha Tate for a second time, Rousey welcomes the challenge of facing a world-class athlete.
I've been excited to fight Sarah for a while because I really feel like I'll be able to show more of what I'm capable of against her than I would against some of my other opponents.
For the casual fan, the differences between judo and wrestling may not be apparent.
When you take a gi off, how do you really how do you distinguish between the two? And I usually tell people, like, the throws that you have to muscle through are wrestling. The throws that happen effortlessly are judo.
Oh my goodness. While the U.S. is chock full of high-caliber wrestlers to prepare Rousey for McMann, the Olympic silver medalist doesn't have the same options when training for Rousey.
From when I was like 11 to 16 and I was training in LA, my mom would take me to like 4 or 5 different clubs a week just to get a different style of judo every day. And so I would develop, you know, defenses and have kind of develop my own kind of hybrid style that'd be very hard to train for.
If McMann can stifle the judoka's takedowns, Rousey's coach is confident in her stand-up skills.
I'll be honest, we get boxing world champions in here, girls, she drops all of them with body shots too. So if you're dropping people with 14-ounce gloves, you guys should be seeing that.
Can McMann overcome the face of women's MMA and her vaunted armbar? Or will Rousey's judo overcome her opponent's wrestling and once again wrap that UFC title around her waist?
McMann may be the underdog going into this fight, but we're going to ask the pros who they are picking this Saturday night as we check in with light heavyweight Phil Davis and Elias Theodorou from Tough Nations as we head into UFC 170.
I think this will be the biggest test that Ronda has.
She will get beat. Positionally, she will get beat. She will not dominate this the way we've seen her dominate in the past. Now, I'm not saying she will lose this fight, but I'm saying positionally, you will see her get out-scrambled, out-wrestled, out-maneuvered. It will not be a one-sided Ronda show, I can tell you that.
It's going to be interesting because you got two Olympian pedigrees going at it, and it's going to be exciting to see what happens.
Sarah McMann will have a counter, and she will have a go-to move ready to go.
It's going to be a very good-looking fight.
This fight will look like Ronda Rousey is fighting the person in the mirror.
UFC 170 will also feature a welterweight bout between Damian Maia and Rory McDonald, two fighters coming off tough losses in their last outings, which can be fatal in that top-end mix at 170 when it comes to championship hopes. Who is going to rebound with the W? We ask Elias Theodorou and former light heavyweight champion Rashad Evans for their predictions.
Obviously, Damian Maia has been looking good, except for with Jake Shields, because Jake Shields makes everyone look bad.
Damian Maia, his jiu-jitsu game is so far of anybody else's in MMA. I've never seen a guy who does jiu-jitsu so well for MMA with all the slipperiness and everything else like that. He's able to find holds and chokes as if he's wearing a gi to a system, you know what I'm saying? So his ground game is ridiculous.
Honestly, it's going to be a good fight with Rory. I think even though he lost his last fight, it's more of a growing thing for him because that's his second loss, and the two people that he's lost to are studs.
I think now that GSP is going out, he's going to start to step into those shoes a little bit more because he was a little bit suppressed, whether it be, mentally or whether he felt it himself because he really couldn't be the guy. He couldn't really challenge for the belt and he really didn't want to. But now that, his big brother George left, now he can just kind of finally fulfill where everybody thinks that he should be.
Hopefully he does what he needs to do and kick some ass.
Further down the card this Saturday is another female bout as Port Colborne, Ontario native Alexis Davis looks to make it 3-0 inside the octagon as she meets recent newcomer Jessica Ai, who debuted back in October for the UFC. The fight has been overshadowed by Ai's post-fight drug test details after her debut, but Davis tells us the importance of this fight and making a claim that she is the one who deserves the next title opportunity.
Hopefully she stays focused in her camp, really know who, is in charge of her public relations or how or why they kind of try to play it out like that. But, eventually, it will blow over. And when it comes to, I imagine, the 22nd, she's going to come out there and she's still going to come swinging.
That was Alexis Davis, one of 4 women who are in action this Saturday in Las Vegas at UFC 170. This weekend, you're going to be in Azerbaijan for K1. Do they get pay-per-view over there?
I really, really hope so. If not, I'll be crying on my pillow.
What are you chatting with Robin Black in addition to the women's bout that is headlining this card Saturday?
We're taking a look at this fantastic card. I know a lot of people are eager
Fantastic! Air quotes required.
People are eager to erase the memory of Fight Night 36, so we're looking at the undercard and some of the big fights that will thrill people.
Well, some people might be flipping their pencil over Sunday morning. We're going to find out when 3 Rounds continues on Fight News Now. Welcome back to Fight News Now, and it's that time of the show where we check in with John Ramdian and Robin Black for another installment of 3 Rounds. And guys, if nothing else happens Saturday night, we are going to answer the question, who the hell is Pat Cummins?
Well, I think Daniel Cormier will definitely answer that question. He is motivated to take this guy out. But Robin, I think a lot of people, they're ticked off about what transpired in Brazil for Fight Night 36. They want that memory erased, and hopefully Ronda Rousey and Sarah McMann will do just that. 2 Olympians colliding in the main event. Dana White says Ronda Rousey, the biggest star in the history of the Ultimate Fighting Championship. I don't know if I buy that.
I don't know about that, but a big, big star and a legit Olympian up against another Olympian, like you said. This is one of the great fights in women's fighting history, in my opinion. You've got an absolute killer in Ronda Rousey, one of the greats, right now arguably the greatest female fighter of all time, against a silver medalist Olympian wrestler. And the only thing that is as rough and tumble and dangerous and violent as judo in the world of fighting is wrestling. I love this fight.
Ronda Rousey's coaches say that her hands are striking possibly the best in all of women's mixed martial arts. She said the body shots are there all day long. If Sarah McMann decides to get close to her, Ronda Rousey's going to grab a hold of her and send her for a ride.
I like this fight for Rousey. One, she's been unbeatable. Psychologically, she's unbeatable so far in her career, but it also works out well no matter what happens. On the feet, they've been back-pocketing, a preparation of striking that is just off the charts according to anybody that's in the gym with her. You can imagine her going out there and showing some beautiful hands, some beautiful boxing, and dig in a couple body shots to the liver. Or if it does go to the mat, she's got the most vicious submission off her back in all of women's fighting, that arm bar. She's caught everyone with it. So what are you afraid of if you're Ronda Rousey? We stand up, and she believes she beats you up. You go to the ground, she believes she arm bars you. If she initiates and puts you on the ground, then you're a wrestler, and wrestlers hate being on their back. It's kind of a no-lose for her. It's going to be a great fight. Phil Davis, our buddy, we saw him down in Michigan, and he said one thing to watch for is because of the elite wrestling, you will see Ronda lose some positional battles.
You want to talk about elite wrestling? The co-main event was supposed to feature Daniel Cormier taking on the former 205-pound champion and Rashad Evans. Rashad Evans is out. A suitable replacement is in Pat Cummins, 4-0. No, not a suitable replacement. They could have found anybody to replace Rashad Evans. Instead, they decide to go with this guy that nobody knows. I know he's trying to do his part, trying to create interest, but this fight should not be the co-main event. Instead, it should be Damian Maia and Rory McDonald. How can Pat Cummins win this fight? Is there any way, considering he's pissed off Daniel Cormier?
There's always a way, and if what he's believing, he has nowhere near the striking, nowhere near the MMA game, nowhere near the experience. All he's got is fairly comparable wrestling. If his thinking is that Cormier really is mentally weak, something I don't believe, and I don't think a lot of people believe, by irritating him and angering him, you know, maybe you get him over aggressive and you put him on his back. But what he's done, and I don't usually talk about this nonsense gossip stuff, I like talking about the reality of fighting, but Pat Cummins has gone in there and betrayed the training room by saying what happened in there. That's unacceptable. It's a terrible way to start your career. Nobody's going to want to train with you after this.
I know a lot of people are focused on the main event, the co-main event, and the welterweight matchup, but there's a ton of fights on the undercard I think that we need to look at. Mike Pyle on this card, Eric Koch on this card, former Bellator champion Zach Makovsky on the card. Who's going to shine in your idea?
There's so many interesting ones. Eric Koch at 155 is going to be dominant. He lost 2 fights in a row against the upper echelon at 45. Yep. He's a huge kid, still growing, very young. Started his career with a beautiful right hook, fadeaway right hook, knockout of the night. He is somebody to watch for on this card, and yeah, he's going to be awesome.
Jessica Ai and Alexis Davis, I think these girls are going to shine. We need a new contender in the 135-pound women's division, and I believe that Alexis Davis, John, will be that girl on Saturday night.
I'm co-signing on that. I'm picking Alexis Davis. Very hard fight to call between her and Jessica Ai. Thank you very much, guys. You can catch more with John and Robin Monday night, 7 Eastern, with 5 rounds right here on Fight Network. We're taking a short break, but more to come. Georges St-Pierre stops by the shift, and of course, it's another weekly viral video as Fight News Now rolls on.
Here we go, you ready?
Yeah. Oh, God!
Welcome back to Fight News Now. It's John Pollock with you. Live kickboxing action is going to be taking place courtesy of Infusion this Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern. But right now we're going to send it on over to Priscilla Carapan as it is a loaded edition of The Shift featuring 2 former UFC champions.
Brimstone Films' Take Down the DNA of GSP is the latest documentary that follows the career of Georges St-Pierre. John Pollock had the chance to catch up with the former UFC welterweight champion to discuss the filmmaking process.
All right, George, let's just first start talking about how this whole documentary, the DNA of GSP, came together. Incredible access that you gave here. I mean, we got to see a side of you that many of your fans have not seen to that degree before. Just tell us about kind of opening your life up to a camera crew, like post-surgery, everything. It just seemed like they were following you 24/7.
When I had my injury, my surgery, I knew I was going to be off for a long time, and when we decided to do that project with my agent, we didn't know how it would have turned out because it could have been a disaster. It could have never be able to come back because for some athlete, the ACL tear, it's a career ending. So we didn't know. It could have been a real nightmare. But what happened is, yeah, we did the project. I didn't have a word to say about this whole thing. You know, it was the production team who did it. So even myself, I would have changed some stuff in the movie. Like, I'm shy to show, but they say that it was good. The people would have liked it.
What were you shy about?
For example, my dad, for example, my dad, for people who speak French, they will understand what I say. That he's from countryside. I'm from countryside, and my dad, the way he speak is very countryside. He don't speak like a guy from the city. And the way he speak in camera, like talking about his car, c'est une belle bébelle, blah, blah. You know, things like this. Like, people who speak French, they were like, what does he say? Like, and I was like, man, it's like, you have to change this scene with my dad. It's kind of embarrassing. And people are like, no, that's gonna make people like your dad even more, because that's real. That's how he is, and it's and people really likes it. I mean, but things like this, I was like, oh God, they really show the real thing. You know?
I thought your parents came off tremendous.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought they were great.
But for me, not embarrassing, but I was like, man, it's like he speak like this, and he's like, people will not understand what he's saying. And I was like, oh God, they really did show that. I was like, oh God, but it turns out well, people likes it, so, you know, I guess it's a good thing.
If there's one real big takeaway from watching this film, it is, I think, for someone that maybe just watches your fights and doesn't understand how much of your life was devoted to all of this and just gearing everything towards your next fight and preparing in the weeks leading up to it. Since announcing your temporary leave, at least at this point, where do you focus that energy now, where it was always geared towards the next fight and waking up every day and preparing to fight the best person in the world at 170 pounds? Where do you direct that now?
The reason of my success is because I'm crazy. I'm an obsessive compulsive person, which is a good thing for if you want to be champion, you want to be successful at something, because this obsessiveness will drive you completely insane. You will completely direct your life towards your goal. Everything that you will do every day, every second of your life would be your goal will be to get closer to your goal, everything you do. That's why this whole stress, it became like, first it was pleasure. I was doing it because it was fun. Then the fun became a business. Then comes the critic, the expectation, and all this, the stress, and I became champion for so long. I was the target for everybody. It was driving me crazy, because I was like thinking like every single day, every second of my life, when I was eating, sleeping, driving my car, of how I'm gonna get past through that next opponent. And that's why I needed to step out of it. Few people can understand that, but I believe to be champion, to be successful in something, you need to be insane. You need to be crazy. You need to be able to leave everything aside to make it completely directed on that particular goal. I just took a break. I don't call it a retirement. I took a break for my mental health. I decided to step out of the fight, give away my title, and enjoy my life. And I don't regret anything. Never been a victim in my life. Nobody ever forced me to do this, to fight. Nobody ever forced me to take a retirement. I did it because I wanted to, and I don't regret. I'm very happy right now.
Well, you seem to be in a great place. Congratulations on the film, and thank you very much for the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Last week, Wai Ting sat down with UFC light heavyweight Rashad Evans, and they got in depth about Todd McFarlane's Spawn. While this week we got part 2 of the conversation, which steps into the DC universe.
I don't know if you're familiar with any current comic books, Rashad, but this is Batman.
This is Batman.
52. This is really the book amongst all the DC books that's gotten the most buzz.
Okay.
Actually featuring one of the former artists of Spawn, Greg Capullo.
I can tell by the drawing, yeah.
Yeah. This book actually introduces a new villain, or a group of villains, called the Court of Owls.
Wow, that's crazy. So a secret society right in his nose, huh?
Basically. Everybody thinks Bruce Wayne knows Gotham really well, but how well does he really know Gotham? So I think you'll really enjoy that. Speaking of Batman, I know you're not that familiar with it, but you gotta go to the classics. This is The Killing Joke. Basically, this was a book that really delved into the psychology
of the Joker. The art is amazing in it. The details is really good. You know, one thing I like about Batman, he is a superhero that doesn't have any superpowers, and it's just, it's right in his brain. You know, his brain and his heart. And it's pure heart, because he's rich enough where he doesn't really need to do it at all.
Next we got, I don't know if you heard of this before.
I never heard this.
Superman versus Muhammad Ali. And,
that's a classic. Wow.
This really is a classic. It's about Neil Adams. And this really came at a time when Muhammad Ali was the man and so was Superman. And somebody had the brilliant idea to put the two of them together in a match in space.
Wait, so let me get it straight. They were in space.
Yes.
And Superman didn't have all his powers.
Yes. They made it a balanced, even fight. Because obviously if a guy could fly and shoot lasers out of his eyes, it wouldn't be very fair.
So Muhammad Ali had to win this fight.
Well, Superman's a very fit guy, so, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, the technique alone of it is just a boxing match, you know? Look at the drawing of Ali, though. I actually drew Muhammad Ali before.
For real?
I drew Mike Tyson before. I used to just draw the faces. You know, I was just obsessed with just drawing like the face and the expression on the face.
One character that I know you're a big fan of is Wonder Woman. And why was Wonder Woman one of your favorite characters?
Because she's hot.
Because she's hot. Because she's hot. We don't have a Wonder Woman book for you, but we have the next best thing.
What's that?
I don't know if you enjoy spending any time in the kitchen, Rashad. We got a Wonder Woman apron for you. Let the audience see that.
Look at that, look at that.
Yeah. So now you're in the kitchen.
You're gonna have me touching myself in the kitchen. Huh?
Hey, you can do whatever you want in this. She's got her own lasso of truth. Maybe you can make a lasagna of truth.
There you go. That's what's up, man.
Yeah. Would you want to put it on?
Well, I mean, you know.
There we go.
Look at that.
Looking good, man. There we go, Rashad Evans with the shift. Mr.
My man, hey,
Woman.
Thank you, I appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
That's it for the shift this week. Back over to you, John.
Thank you, Priscilla, as well to George and Rashad for stopping by. And it's now time for your favorite segment on the show. I know it's mine. It's the weekly viral video, and this is the best we could find.
Here we go, you ready?
Yeah.
Oh,
God!
Yeah. Mark.
Oh my God!
That's gonna leave a mark.
Oh my
Yeah, that's a reenactment of Cormier Cummins this Saturday. And that wraps up Fight News Now. Thanks to our guests Georges St-Pierre, Rashad Evans, and Alexis Davis. For more with St-Pierre, he will be with me on the MMA Report Thursday on FightNetwork.com. On behalf of John Ramdeen, Robin Black, Priscilla Carapan, Wai Ting, and the Fight Network crew, I'm John Pollock, and enjoy UFC 170 this Saturday night.